Greetings. I'm Ken Hamilton, and I'm introducing you to the HOPE Goldbook that really runs the meetings. And this is part 3. It's the back page of this folder pamphlet we have that gives us 10 verbal agreements as to how we're going to get along together for the next 1.5, 2 hours. These guidelines are very useful because the group can then assume responsibility for itself. I don't claim to be a facilitator. I don't claim to be a trained counselor. I just have a lot of experience in being present to people, listening to them, affirming them, and throwing some experience of mine, personal or vicarious, into the mix and let the whole pot boil. So let's keep the pot boiling in a way that's mutually respectful. And if somebody steps out of the respectful nature of the meeting, it is in the responsibility and power of the rest of the group to remind that person which one of the 10 guidelines they need to pay attention to. You see, I choose the words here, not violate. No, they need to pay attention to, and we can work this through. All right, and then at the very end of this, I will add a couple of points about the Goldbook. Now, the HOPE Group Guidelines, Guideline 1, all of these begin with the phrase, we agree to. Guideline 1, we agree to help the group focus on attitudinal healing by letting go of fear and conflict and seeing life in a peaceful and loving way. Now, you're very much aware that the HOPE Group opening and the principles of attitudinal healing deal directly with this. Peaceful, that's inner peace. Love is being in a creative relationship with each other. Again, the model, I've got 30 trillion cells in my body, and they are a complex field of organization into organs and organ systems that all came from one cell. Fascinating, huh? I find it fascinating anyway. And so that perfection of balance that I have here and you have there may have something that's disrupting it. Okay, fine. That's what HOPE groups are all about. So to be able to look at that disruption in a peaceful and loving way allows us to learn from it. Okay, number 2. We agree to work on our own healing processes, offer mutual support, and practice non-judgmental listening. Okay? Mutual support, non-judgmental listening. You need to let go of fear and judgment. And that's the process of forgiveness. It's covered. Okay? So, 3, we agree to recognize the importance of each person's process. And in this way, we create a safe atmosphere for the whole group. There's something loving about this. Because if a person's process is ugly, we need to be present to ugly. And not criticize it, not judge it, but nurture the ability of a person to change that to peaceful. Yes. 4, we agree to support each other's inner guidance and to trust in their process. Inner guidance. This is tapping into an inner source, the inner guide. This is something that's essential to all human beings. It knows what is beneficial and what is harmful. And so if we start listening to a person's inner guidance without criticizing or judging, but being aware and present, this permits of the exposure of that inner guidance to the nurturing support of the rest of the group. 5, we agree to share what has worked for us in our own lives without expectation of it working for others for there are no shoulds. A should is an obligation. You should have known better. I didn't. That's the kind of a thing that a should can do for a person. It can heap a set of feelings on a person. You should have known better. Well, maybe I did, but it didn't work out that way. See? So we start sharing because you're living an experience that belongs to you, and I'm living an experience that belongs to me. They're going to differ. So can we work them together creatively? Can we nurture each other? And look at this tension that might exist between us. And use the tension, use the stress to change, to grow, to evolve. Oh yes, I know we can. We agreed to use our time together with mutual care, consideration, and respect. Mutual care, mutual, you and me, all the rest of us, care. We're caring for each other. Let's just try that. We don't have to be in conflict with each other, but we can care for each other. We can respect each other. We can be considerate of each other. You know those words. I know those words. We all know those words. Number 8, we've heard this before. We agree to be students and teachers to each other interchangeably. We've looked at students and teachers. Now it's interchangeable. You're a student of me, and I'm a student of thee, and you're a teacher of me, and I'm a teacher of thee. And it is that way that we agree to, and that is very respectful. 9, we agree to maintain a loving focus on each speaker and refrain from crosstalk or walking on another's talk. Crosstalk is an aviation term. When you're communicating on a single frequency in the air, you start cross-talking, and there are 2 conversations going on and they mutually cancel. And if you're over 45, like I am, you have a hard time differentiating one conversation from another. And the other thing of it is, you're walking on somebody else's talk if you're engaging suddenly in some commentary about what's going on. So all of a sudden what's happening is that you've got your own agenda and you've stopped paying attention to the other person's agenda. Do you want that to happen to you? No, of course not. So we listen respectfully and step in when it feels right about the other person having said what they're going to say. And there's a pause, a micro pause sometimes, and you step in with what you have to say. And it's about sharing experience. This is so important. Walking on another's talk is like finishing a sentence for them. In other words, you put your agenda on top of them. You don't want that to happen to you. So that's why we make that agreement. And then finally, we agree to keep all personal information that is shared in a HOPE group meeting strictly confidential. There, strictly confidential, personal information. I might say, you know, in a HOPE group meeting last week, I heard someone say, or make this observation, so on and so forth. And then share it without giving any personal information. All right? That works. It works very well, and it's worked for years. I've only had 2 occasions where I've had to ask a person to leave a HOPE group because they were not being confidential. And this can be a slip. So it's my responsibility, using these guidelines, to comment, or anybody else's, to say that I heard a breach of confidence. I had some information come back to me that came out of a checkout line in another town. And The person was identified, and it was you. All right? This is a slip. We can all make slips. But I'll caution you. You're now advised that we know that you've made a slip. No punishment, but do it again, and I must ask you to leave because you are threatening the safety of the group. And that is really one of the very, very powerful things about a HOPE group meeting, is that it is a safe place. There are the 10. Now, I talk about building a container for the meeting. The 3 pages we've done, that builds a container. The word for this comes from alchemy, and the word is crucible. And the crucible makes it possible for heat to develop to create an alloy of metal. But a crucible can only take the heat once. So let's say a HOPE group meeting can only take the heat once. And we need to break the crucible at the end of the meeting, knowing that we'll build a new one when we come together again. So for me, the great thing about breaking that crucible is contained in that very brief segment of a prayer for serenity that is repeated in many different places. First word is God. We've used Great Spirit. We've used other words. Fine. You choose. That's fine. Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So then we're encouraging each other to go home serene, courageous, and wise, and work the process. And everybody who comes to a HOPE group meeting goes home with a copy of the Goldbook, and they find it very useful at home. So it is my hope that you'll have a copy of the Goldbook, which you can download from the HOPE Healing website, www.hopehealing.org, print out, and use for your own purposes. Or, like we're saying, would you like to start a HOPE group on your own? The website gives you all the tools, and will give you the support. So thank you very much for coming. It's been a delight to be here for you. I wish you all the well. Blessings.